Hello and welcome to another week of the Blue Room. Hi. Hello. So excited to have everyone here. I am Amy E. Reichert. This way is Heather Webb. Underneath me is Denny Bryce. And over that way is Nicole Baart, fellow Tall Poppy. Thank you for coming. We are so excited to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. And a little bit about both of you. Denny Bryce, she is the author of Wild Women and the Blues, and she is in public relations. I have to look at my notes. And when I was reading her bio, I fell in love because she's an avid fan of Buffy and Firefly and Angel, and I feel like we could talk for hours.
There are hours.
She started writing Buffy and Spike. So I'm super in love with you. So I feel bad because now, Nicole, you have to follow that up.
No pressure.
Yes. So Nicole is a fellow Tall Poppy, and I've always felt we were talking about her hair before the show, and I've always felt she has magic hair because she would put it up in this bun, and then like the next morning she'd take it out and it would look beautiful. I'm sure she did other stuff to it, but it looked magical.
And this is not her official bio, I will add.
Off script. And in addition to that, she has written several books. She's the co-founder of a nonprofit called One Body, One Hope. She's of four countries. So very fun. Welcome. Thank you for coming. All right. Should we go into Poppy News?
So fun.
Yes. So there was a tiny bit of a lag there. Hopefully that did you guys get the lag too? Hopefully that
just a little
keeps moving. Okay. So Poppy News. First of all, we need to talk about how it's Hollywood week, and I have one gloved hand and one that's not, because I was trying to do something on the computer with the touchpad to click, 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 and nothing worked. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be slick and only show the gloved hand. And that has already not happened because I waved with my ungloved hand. So, hey, there we go. Poppy News. So the Kindred Spirit Supper Club, Amy's book that's releasing next week, was listed as a Milwaukee Journal Sentinel pick and great review. Yes. Library Journal gushed and loves this book as well. So congratulations, Amy. Her launch event is next week, and it's listed on her website for anybody who wants to register. There's books that are signed and all kinds of other information there. Yes. Did I get that right?
All on the website.
Okay. You're definitely a little glitchy tonight. You keep pausing.
Okay. I'm going to go out and come back in. So carry on without me.
I'll carry on. You do that. We'll see you in a second. So the other news is there is a Goodreads giveaway of 3 Words for Goodbye, and there are 100 copies for anybody who is looking for an escapist read. If you want to go to Europe, if you want to go to Paris, you want to go to Venice, you want to go to Vienna, this is the book for you, because this is where Hazel and I take you. So check it out. And then Janie Chang, who we love, and I'm going to go pull up this image here because it's fantastic. So she was made front cover along with Kate Quinn of the Globe and Mail, the art section, and they did this really lovely image that they drew of the two of them in this interview. So if you happen to get the Globe and Mail, check that out. That was a really fun thing to see for us. The only other news is that we have 2 poppies that have releases next week, and that's Amy and also Christy Woodson Harvey, so who will be joining us on the Blue Room. So check it out. All right. So you may notice that Amy's got a little bling on. It's beautiful dress, velvety dress. Denny has a hat that she's hiding from us. That is.
I will put it on and put it off because
yes,
this is my late mother's church hat.
Wow.
I
That
love it.
she would wear along with the other 100 hats that she owned.
And just rock it. It's so
And
fun.
just rock it every day, every Sunday. It has a little thingy there, brooches and things. I think it's very lovely. But it's definitely my mother's hat, not mine.
And we wanted to talk a little bit about Hollywood and books to film and books to TV because the nominations were just posted. The Oscars are in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, I realized that I don't know any of these movies that got nominated. Does anyone else?
I don't even know them. Well, I don't know what's been nominated because I'm on deadline.
Yeah. I hear that.
I can't. I have the world's. I have not been keeping up. I apologize.
And you just don't apologize.
No.
Has anyone looked at the list? I went and looked at the list, and I've never heard of any of these movies. And I feel so bad for the actors and for the directors, producers. They're kind of in the same boat as fiction writers this last pandemic year, where we're trying to get the word out about these things, and none of the traditional methods are working because we're all locked down at home, right? So there's this, these people who have worked really hard and have nominations, and no one's even seen the movies. And I'm wondering who's going to watch the show. Are you guys going to watch it at all?
I haven't watched the Oscars since that movie that wasn't the winner won, and they changed it.
Oh, Moonlight. Do you mean Moonlight and La La
Yeah.
Land?
Yes, no. So I figure if they can get that right, I'm not there.
I hear that.
I'm looking at the list because I really had to look it up. I have seen Judas and the Black Messiah. It is brilliant.
Is it?
That is focuses on the Black Panther Party, and
I remember seeing that
yeah,
advertised now that you mention it. Yeah.
yeah, that one is good. The one I want to see that was not on HBO is the one starring the young man from oh God, he played the character on The Walking Dead. He's the first, I think he's Korean American or Korean nominated.
That's not Minari, is it?
It might be.
I'm pulling it up because I kind of remember seeing, Minari. Stephen Yeun. Stephen Yeun.
I loved him. I'm still upset about The Walking Dead, but it's been a few years. You see, I'm in the past. I'm just in the past.
We're all trying to take it day by day, aren't we?
I want to talk about Buffy. So, yes.
That's a little bit in the past. What about books to film or books to TV? Have you guys seen any lately that you're like totally into? I've seen a lot on Netflix myself. What about you guys?
I'm kind of a classic book to movie girl. My favorites are all old. And when I heard that we were going to be talking about this today, I thought, I wonder if anybody's seen these except for me. But
tell us.
Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version.
Love.
1996.
Favorites.
Is
Do you
that the
remember
one
that?
It's so good.
Yeah,
Which
Claire
one is
Danes
it,
and
though?
Leonardo DiCaprio. So I used to be a high school English teacher, and we would read Romeo and Juliet and act Romeo and Juliet, and we would watch the really classic version in the 1960s, and then I'd pull out Baz Luhrmann.
That's the rally version.
I know. And the boys in my class would cry. We're talking 17-year-old boys who were like, choking up at the end, and
they need to cry.
Just the best.
So I love the way that there's a stage that's really sort of that broken down platform on the beach. Just so much brilliance in that movie. Loved it.
Post-apocalyptic LA.
Yeah.
I love it.
Costuming, everything about it was fabulous.
Yeah.
Denny, is there one that you love?
Yeah, Bridgerton.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Bridgerton coming and going. Every scene.
Man.
Are we watching it without Simon though?
Are
we gonna watch it without Simon though?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, because well, they've just gotten the reason people will. It's sort of like what happened with Outlander, my other totally favorite thing. What they did announce today was now they have 2, 3, or 4 year contracts or something like that. They've already extended it, and that's what they did with Outlander, so they wouldn't lose any more people. So they'll probably, because he probably only had a 1 year contract, and then he got swallowed by everybody. But they'll keep giving us something. They'll give us something.
And his role going forward is not going to be as important,
which is
true because he's beautiful.
Yeah, he's beautiful. So we'll see him in his next movie as beautiful as he wants to be, and we'll keep watching Bridgerton.
Absolutely,
it was so fun, especially I think. We've watched romance come from, sort of be shunned the last 4 or 5 years. And then the pandemic hit, and it's been kind of wonderful to see this huge resurgence, this big revival with a different spin that's just more inclusive and more interesting and nuanced. And there's a lot of fun stuff. And Bridgerton just sort of encapsulates all of that. And Shonda, as usual, nailed it. So
totally.
Love it. Love it. It's a great example. Amy, is there something you've been watching that you're or book to film or book to TV?
I really, most recently, Bridgerton was such a good one.
She stole it.
I was thinking a little bit older, but not as old as Nicole. I really loved the Crazy Rich Asians movie adaptation. I loved how it played with all of the typical rom-com tropes, and I thought it was just A+. I'm so sad we haven't gotten the second one or the third one yet, but hopefully that's coming soon. Yeah. So that was one of the ones I really liked.
All excellent choices. Anyone see Behind Her Eyes?
No.
Nicole, you saw it?
Yeah.
Like the end without giving a spoiler?
Yeah.
I was like, oh. It's on Netflix. Yeah. You have to watch it, you guys. It was fun.
So good.
I did not read the book. Did you read the book?
I didn't read the book, and I kind of stumbled into it. That the only time I allow myself, that sounds terrible. Like my husband and I watch TV, but during the day, the only break that I get when I kind of let myself turn on TV is when I'm working out. So I try to find something that keeps me moving. And by the end of that one, I had to just sit down and
absorb
it, gawking at the television.
Yeah, totally. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of all these books, I would like to hear about your books, ladies. Denny, tell us a little bit about your book that just launched, Wild Women in the Blues.
Yes. It is historical fiction. It is a dual timeline. It's set in 1925 and 2015. My main character in 1925 is an ambitious showgirl. And in 2015, it's a young man who is grieving over a great loss, and he's looking for a way to refocus himself and finish his film documentary. And the two stories manage to come together in surprisingly fun and twisty ways, but it's also an important time period in Chicago's Black Belt, also known as Bronzeville. And we're able to explore a time period that rarely is explored in books, and also with main characters who are African American characters. So I'm very excited about the response to the book. And
it's a gorgeous book, Denny.
And the cover.
That cover is amazing.
Yes. Let me please give a shout out to the artistry, the people behind the cover, because I did not do the cover. Okay, I wrote the book. Cover design is by the creative director at Kensington Publishing. That is Christine Mills. And the cover illustration is Sarah Knott.
So very nice.
Well done.
Nailed it. Totally nailed it. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, they did good.
Can you tell us a little? I always like to know. We like to know a little anecdote behind the scenes, something fun, something interesting, something off the beaten path that you can share with us.
Oh, about my
in the making of the book, or
well, I met one of the characters in the book.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not that old either.
No,
okay. So just get that thought out of your mind. One of the characters in the book is named Alberta Hunter. And Alberta Hunter was a blues singer in the 20s. And when I was a child, I was a professional dancer in New York City. And as most professional dancers do, I waited tables. I waited tables at a place called The Cookery. The Cookery was owned by Barney Josephson, who also owned Cafe Society, where Billie Holiday first sang Strange Fruit, by the way. And Alberta Hunter was making a comeback to blues singing at the age of 84. And
wow.
She was in her early 80s. And my job when she worked was to bring her tea. And we bonded over mutual love of Chicago.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Love that story.
Yeah. She was amazing. She was an amazing person at the time, of course, being young and virtually not paying attention to the world around me except for my world. I didn't know who she was. And years and years later, I realized, oh my God, I was there when all of these very fabulous women and men from the 20s and 30s and 40s were having their comeback through this place I worked at, where I made great tips. That was my concern.
Oh. Honey, I have waited so many tables. That is what it is all about. But that is great.
Yeah, that's life. That's life.
And the stories are gold.
They are gold.
Yeah. So that's my story.
Oh, good one.
So we heard you have a beverage that's of the era that you would like to share with us before we talk with Nicole.
Well, I already made it. It was just sitting there looking at me. I had to. I had no choice. Okay, it has in it, not that this is more gin than I've ever seen since I tended bar. Okay, so it's gin, lemon juice, that's a lemon, and honey, which I forgot to bring. It's in the kitchen. So this thing tastes like gin.
Not the best bees knees. You're supposed to have honey syrup, right? Honey simple
syrup is so missing. But the reason this drink was so popular in the 20s was because hooch tasted nasty. So this is where the evolution of the cocktail started, because they had to mask the taste of the liquor because it wasn't good.
It was awful.
Good.
Like moonshine.
Yeah.
And they were making it out of everything.
They really in the book, my character Honore, she needs a stiff drink. She prefers gin, but she has to have it with honey and lemon. Honey and lemon. That's what her friend, one of her friendly bartenders, makes for her.
Oh.
And I admitted to Denny when we right before we came on the air, that I actually love bees knees.
Yeah.
But I like it with vodka and honey simple syrup and lemon, and not gin. I'm not a big gin drinker.
Gin is nasty.
And my co-writer Hazel is like, she's English and lives in Ireland, and everybody drinks gin there. And she's like, what is wrong with you, American, that you keep ordering things with vodka instead of gin?
Taste buds.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's all about preference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nicole, we'd love to hear about your book. You have a new book coming out in November.
I do. Feels like it's a long ways away right now, but.
And there it is. Everything we didn't say.
Yeah.
So tell us about it.
So it's the story of Juniper Baker, who is a special archives librarian in Denver, Colorado, who is drawn back to her hometown after 15 years to solve the double homicide of her neighbors and friends. Her brother was the prime suspect back in the day, and after everything happened, she ran away and never came back. So yeah, 15 years later, she's coming back. So It's also a dual narrative like Denny's, only mine doesn't go quite so far back. It's present day when she's 35 years old and 15 years ago when she's 19, just turning 20. And yeah, it was so much fun to write. I never really intended it for it to happen this way, but the past tense is her, fresh out of high school on her way to college the summer before she goes to college. And it turned into a love story, and I never intended that. So one part of the timeline is just incredibly fun, and summertime in the Midwest, and falling in love and all these crazy things happening. So
I'm kind of laughing to myself that, okay, I used to be a high school teacher, so I have a certain amount of snark inside of me. And you're so beautiful, and you're smiling, and you're like, and there's a double homicide.
Two people die.
And I'm just thinking, I'm just thinking, this is, we get used to talking about our books and being friendly and open, and you're doing it, and it just made me laugh. I had to share that.
There's a double homicide. I know. I don't have that. I can't do it. Oh no.
Oh, so funny.
People always ask me, so you write romance? And I'm like, no, I don't. My last book was about a suicide.
And they're like,
Huh.
oh, all right.
Yeah.
I think some of the nicest people write the darkest stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary Kavika writes super dark thrillers, and she's so sweet and nice and wonderful. And you just don't, it's hard to see them that works. It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever.
I can't go too dark. I'm pretty optimistic by nature. I like to write about, touch some of these things, but I'm never going to dismember somebody in my book. I can't do that. Ew.
I'm pretty glad about that. So we'd love to hear an anecdote from you, like something behind the scenes. Was there something unusual while you're working on the book? Is there, we like the dirt or the juicy or the fun, besides the cover copy kind of stuff.
So the dirt, juicy fun of this book is that I wrote it during just the hardest season of my life. We have 5 kids. We have a really busy home, and we just had stuff going down. It was just really hard. And I wrote in a fog. So when I turned my book in, I don't even think I read over it. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that, but I'm like, we're in turmoil. There's chaos happening over here. So I'm going to write this book. I'm turning it in. I'm sure it's fine. This is my 10th book. I'm sure it's fine. So my agent calls me up a couple of weeks later, and she's like, honey, we got to talk.
Oh.
And it was really bad. When I looked back on it and actually read it, I was horrified that I had turned that in. So I rewrote it, or I started to rewrite it, and then COVID hit. And in the midst of, COVID was crazy. And again, the 5 kids, and we're all crammed in the house, and it's chaos again. So I write it again and turn it in again and get a call again. Honey.
No.
Yeah. I straight up 100% rewrote this book 3 times. And each time it was agonizing. I was ready to give up. I was completely done with it. I thought, this is it. I'm gonna go be a waitress. Clearly I'm not meant to write. I'm good at waitressing. I've done that too.
I can do.
Yeah. I thought I'd go work in a coffee shop or something. But my editor and my agent were just so kind, and they worked with me, and they could see the diamond in the rough, and they helped me tease it out. And it is the book that I am the most excited about and the proudest I've ever been of any book I've written. So
that's awesome.
It was a really long journey to get here, but I'm super excited about it. So
I'm proud of it.
I am, yeah. And I think it's important to admit to readers and to writers out there too, we don't always get it right the first time, or the second, or even the third.
Our debut author here, this is actually a story that warms my heart.
Good.
Because multi-published authors seem like this creature from another planet. and even though hard work rewriting books, oh my God, but working with a team of people that push you to the excellence that they know you're capable of is a wonderful thing as well. So it's a good story for me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
You know, it really pushed my relationship with my editor too. Like she's worked with me on the last 2 or 3 books that I've done, and I love her and I've always loved her. But this experience deepened our relationship in a way that like I trust her with everything. When she tells me something, I'm right there. Like we are so in sync. And yeah, it was a really fantastic experience, even though it was really hard and I cried a lot.
Aw.
I've had that too. I had a book.
The book I have coming out in February was the same. The entire last third, I had to cut the entire last third.
Oh,
I mean, I'm talking like 35,000 words. So it was a similar, I mean, it's not the same, but it feels the same. You know, it feels that total, like, this is complete garbage rewriting. But there's a happy ending. It got finished, but it was tough, you know, but this is part of it too, isn't it? I think if we didn't have deadlines or we didn't have children that needed us every few minutes mixed in with a horrific pandemic, that we would have been like, okay, that kind of stinks that I have all this work to do. But at the same time, we would have been glad to create something stronger and better that readers would love more, right? In the end, we kind of like that. Most of us kind of like the editing.
Yeah.
It's just,
That's my favorite part is revision. But
the circumstances have to be right. What's that, Amy?
Drafting is the worst. I hate it.
It's not my favorite either.
That's the magical part. Like,
no, magic happens for me in edits when I kind of know where I'm going and I can
once
hear the
it's
ship.
there,
yeah.
the layer.
We all have to say hi to Marissa. Hi, Marissa. She's doing lots of lovely comments tonight, so I want to make sure we say hello.
Thank you.
Nicole,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, hon.
I was gonna say, do we want to do our book recommendations?
But I want to see if Nicole has
absolutely do that.
What do you have to share with us, Nicole?
Well, I'm a little embarrassed. We decided I got the email about the Oscar thing, so I kind of ditched mine. I was going to be really weird and admit to you guys that I named my houseplants, and I was going to introduce you to a couple of them.
Yes, we want that, please.
But I don't have them with me. You're just going to have to believe me that Pepper is really cute. Henry is like super stable, and I love that guy. He's never lost a leaf. And I have the twins, but hey, you got to do something. Yeah, it happened during the pandemic. I didn't even realize I was talking to them until my kids were like, "Are you talking to the plant?"
You have one over your shoulder.
Yes, I am. Oh, that's just dead. That's not even a real thing.
Oh, that one didn't get a name.
My real ones are pretty cool. I'll post pictures or something, but I can share my drink with you. I did go get a drink, and mine is not nearly as fancy as Denny's because, as you can see, it is a can of wine that I got for $2 on clearance at Walmart.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a girl who knows how to save a buck. We like that. That's a
super classy rosé that
oh my God,
smells a little bit like rubber, but I'll drink anyway.
I mean, $2. What are we gonna do? But hey,
what it can do.
Good.
Oh gosh,
that's good.
Some tasty stuff.
Amy, you had something for us before we're gonna.
Wait, we didn't do our book recommendations early in the show.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I can kick it off real quick since my Wi-Fi seems to be working right now. I don't know what's up with it today. So I went with something Hollywood themed. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not recommend, I'll get there, Meet Echo by my very own dear friend, Heather Webb and Hazel Gaynor.
Thank you, honey.
So this is Ava Gardner. Is that right? No, that's not right. Grace
Kelly.
We were talking about a different book about Ava Gardner. Anyway, Grace Kelly. It's in Monaco, and this is a fun game. Let's have other people describe books that are not theirs. It's not so much about Grace. Well, she's a major component of it. It's about this perfumer that she befriends and then her life and seeing Grace's life from that perspective and other things. But
Yeah.
so it is that's Hollywood Angle is the Grace Kelly, which I got there eventually.
Yes, a perfumer and a British press photographer meet when they're hot on the trail of Grace Kelly and her wedding to Prince Rainier of Monaco. So yes.
Thank you for
Okay, and I chose the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This has been around the block for a few years now. I don't know if you've read it. It's fantastic. I actually cried reading this. But the prose is beautiful, but it's a very fast read. It's like the perfect combination of sort of commercial meets book club / a sprinkling of literary goodness and just gorgeous writing. I loved it. I read it very quickly and I didn't know what to expect. I really love the cover. I had never read anything by her, but that lush green, beautiful cover drew me in. And then now I'm a fan of hers for life. I've read her other stuff too. So, Denny, what are you reading, or what do you recommend?
I wish I'd shown my book first, because guess what?
No! Yes!
And here's how I came to this wonderful book that you've already talked about. Was because in reviews on Goodreads, people would mention this book when they talked about my book.
Oh.
And they said there was some, whatever.
Oh.
I said, well, let me go read this thing. Now, first and foremost, we got green dresses. I think that had a little bit to do with it. But I am really enjoying how she is putting the dual storyline, by the way, the past and the present, interviewer telling the story style, but still just keeps drawing you into both sides of the story. I have not finished it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
My way to finishing it, and I love it dearly because has that feel of old Hollywood. My understanding is her premise, her what if question was, what if Marilyn Monroe lived this long?
Oh.
What story?
That's interesting. I didn't get that feeling at all, but I could see where that would send her down.
I read that someplace.
Yeah.
It's sort of like that fabulous in her description of how this woman looked and her sensuality and sexuality. I sort of picked it up there, but I was like, what a way to play with time, saying that scenario.
I like that she used tabloid articles, fake created, fictional tabloid articles to shape the narrative of her life as a famous person. So she and her publicist would work out ways to release real information that the public would believe about her that wasn't the least bit true, and it totally shaped the story. And I thought that was brilliant.
Have you ever seen an old classic movie called All About Eve?
Oh, yes.
There's a lot of that behind the scenes, in front of the camera. Well, first Betty Davis,
Yeah.
But sort of that flavor of the two sides of Hollywood, the back stage and front page.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. Nicole, what about you?
Well, do you guys have Christy Woodson Harvey on next week?
Yes.
Is that true? Okay. So this week I picked up Feels Like Falling from Christy, and I have a little bit of a bone to pick with her. Oh, you have it. That's what I read. It's so good. But I have a little bit of a bone to pick with her because I thought I want something really light and fun, and I'm just going to enjoy this book so much. It's going to make me laugh. It made me cry. I did not expect to cry in that book, but Christy is such a sweetheart. She's such a kind Southern belle. She's just gorgeous. And I expected this really fluffy read, and it was not fluffy at all. It was fun, and I laughed, but she deals with really heavy hitting and some very hard
Christy's
issues.
Sharp as a tack.
She is. She's so smart, and
she's an excellent writer.
Yeah, she just has a really high EQ. I feel like she totally understands people and their motivations and why they do the things they do. And she just did that beautifully and Feels Like Falling. And I did laugh and I did love it, but I also cried. So, and I think that's the mark of a really good book, because she took me, on the whole journey. It was the whole package. So thanks, Christy. A week early.
Yay.
Well, ladies, thank you for joining us. We're having fun talking to you. So we actually ran over a few minutes, but we're not going to cut off a good time. I mean, no. But so we're so glad you came. We're going to drop links to both books in the comment section, and we'll see you on the web, and we hope to see you here again.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Cheers.